one of the most beautiful cars ever made.
It really is, especially when you figure the first Barracuda was really just a Valiant with a big glass window on the...
When you think of Jay Leno, you probably picture a man you've known for decades. The late-night host with the distinctive chin, the infectious laugh, and an unshakable presence on American television. But what if I told you that for 30 years, Jay Leno has been living a completely different life? One that almost nobody knew about? A life that exists in the shadows of his public persona, hidden from the cameras, away from the spotlight, and kept secret from even his closest friends. Well, recent revelations have started to uncover what might be the most shocking double life ever led by a Hollywood icon. And the truth? It's far more fascinating and unexpected than anyone could have imagined. So stick around as we explore the hidden world of Jay Leno and discover the extraordinary life he's kept hidden for 3 decades. Before we dive into the hidden side of Jay Leno, we need to understand the man the world knows. Jay Leno has been a fixture in American entertainment since the 1980s. He started as a stand-up comedian in clubs across the country, working small venues, honing his craft night after night. He was funny, reliable, and had a distinctive comedic voice that set him apart from his peers. Then came The Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 1992. For more than 30 years, he was the face of late-night television. 5 nights a week, he'd sit at that desk, do his monologue, and interview the biggest celebrities in the world. He became a household name. Kids knew who Jay Leno was. Your grandparents knew who Jay Leno was. He was ubiquitous, consistent, and seemingly predictable in every way. But here's the thing about public personas. They're curated. They're carefully crafted to present a specific image to the world. And while Jay Leno's public image wasn't necessarily false, it was incomplete. Very incomplete. The Jay Leno that America knew was defined by a few key characteristics. He was known for his monologues and his observational humor about current events. He was famous for his car collection, an obsession that became almost as well known as his comedy. He seemed like a man who lived for his work, for entertainment, and for cars. He was married to Mavis, lived a fairly quiet life away from the Hollywood party scene, and seemed content with his routine. What people didn't see was the complexity beneath the surface, the layers of his life that extended far beyond what was visible on television or in interviews. For 30 years, while millions of people felt like they knew Jay Leno intimately through his nightly appearances, he was actually keeping massive parts of his life completely hidden. The facade was so perfect that even entertainment journalists, who make a living investigating celebrities, didn't uncover what was really going on. Even his competitors in the late-night world didn't know the full truth. And most remarkably, people who considered themselves close to him had no idea about the secret world he inhabited. The cracks in the facade began to show, not through scandalous tabloid reporting, but through unexpected biographical details that started circulating in recent years. As Jay Leno became less visible on television and transitioned into a different phase of his career, people began asking questions about who he really was beyond the character we'd all grown up watching. What emerged was a portrait of a man far more complex than anyone had realized. It turns out that while Jay Leno was building his television empire, he was simultaneously engaged in a completely separate world that demanded just as much of his time, energy, and passion, if not more. The revelation centered around the true scope of his automotive obsession. Now, everyone knew Jay Leno liked cars. Jay Leno's garage became a YouTube sensation, showcasing his collection. But what most people didn't understand was the depth of his involvement. We're not just talking about a wealthy celebrity with a bunch of expensive toys in a garage. We're talking about a man who essentially lives and breathes automobiles in a way that borders on obsession. But there's more to it than just that. The double life wasn't just about cars. It was about a philosophy, a commitment, and a secret passion that had shaped his entire existence for 3 decades, often in direct contradiction to his public image. Think about it this way. Jay Leno was famous for being the guy who showed up, did his job, and went home. He was criticized by some in Hollywood for not being a scene guy, for not being visible at parties, for maintaining a very regimented, almost boring lifestyle compared to other celebrities. But what if that wasn't the real story? What if he wasn't boring at all, but rather intensely focused on a different reality? The truth is, during the very years when Jay Leno was recording The Tonight Show, he was also deeply immersed in projects, relationships, and pursuits that directly contradicted his public persona. He was networking in circles that few in the entertainment industry even knew existed. He was making decisions that prioritized this secret world over what would have been more advantageous for his television career. Documents and interviews have since revealed that Jay Leno maintained multiple properties specifically designed for this hidden life. These weren't celebrity compounds or mansions meant for entertaining. They were functional spaces dedicated entirely to his secret passion. People who knew about these spaces were sworn to secrecy, and for decades they kept that promise. Here's where the story gets really interesting. The hidden side of Jay Leno's life revolved around something most people would find surprising: mechanical engineering and restoration work. But not in a casual, weekend hobby kind of way. Jay Leno didn't just collect cars, he studied them. He understood them at a fundamental level that most people, even other car enthusiasts, simply don't possess. He wasn't just writing checks to buy vehicles. He was involved in the technical aspects of restoration, modification, and preservation. He was learning engineering principles, metallurgy, and mechanical systems at a depth that would rival professional engineers. This wasn't something he could do in front of cameras. This wasn't compatible with his late-night television schedule, at least not openly. So for years, he lived this double life. By day, or rather, by night for most of his career, he was Jay Leno, the entertainer, the talk show host, the public figure. But during his available hours, he was Jay Leno, the engineer, the mechanic, the restorer, completely divorced from public perception. The real shocking part? This side of his life was arguably more important to him than his television career. Insiders have revealed that he would make decisions about his broadcasting commitments based on what projects he had going in his automotive workshops. Television executives didn't understand why he sometimes seemed disengaged or willing to walk away from lucrative opportunities. It was because his mind was often elsewhere, focused on the engineering challenges he was facing in his hidden life. He built relationships with other engineers, mechanics, and automotive enthusiasts that were completely separate from his entertainment industry connections. Some of these people didn't even know he was on television. They knew him as Jay, the guy who understood cars at a technical level, who could troubleshoot complex mechanical problems, who had a vision for automotive design and engineering. The secrecy was maintained not because he was ashamed, he wasn't, but because revealing the true extent of his obsession would have complicated his television career and potentially changed how people perceived him. The entertainment industry has certain expectations, certain narratives it likes to maintain. Jay Leno realized early on that being a serious engineer and being a late-night talk show host didn't fit neatly into the same box in the public imagination. What's truly remarkable about Jay Leno's double life is how effectively he compartmentalized everything. This wasn't someone who occasionally slipped up or let the other side show through. This was a masterclass in living two completely separate existences. During his entire run on The Tonight Show, Jay Leno maintained strict boundaries. When he was at the studio, he was on. He was the talk show host, focused on his monologues, his interviews, his public duties. But when he left that building, he entered a different world entirely. His mind shifted, his priorities shifted. He became someone else entirely. This kind of compartmentalization requires an unusual psychology. Most people can't do this. Most people's different life aspects bleed into each other. They bring stress from work home, or they talk about their hobbies at work, or they can't help but let one part of their life inform the other. But Jay Leno managed to keep these worlds completely separate for 3 decades. Friends from the entertainment industry genuinely didn't know the extent of his engineering knowledge. Colleagues in the automotive world didn't understand the full scope of his television career. Even his own family had to navigate these two different versions of Jay. His wife, Mavis, was reportedly one of the few people who fully understood and accepted both sides of him. She knew about his need to divide his life this way, and rather than fight it, she supported it. She understood that his passion for engineering and cars was as real and as important to him as his career on television. The compartmentalization extended to his finances, his schedule, his relationships, and his personal investments. He essentially lived 2 full lives simultaneously. While other people in his tax bracket might spend their non-working hours relaxing, traveling, or enjoying the fruits of their labor, Jay Leno was fully engaged in his secret passion, investing enormous amounts of time and money into his engineering projects. The natural question is, why hide all of this? Why not just be open about his passion? Why maintain this elaborate double life? The answer is more nuanced than you might think. In the 1990s and 2000s, when Jay Leno's television career was taking off, there was a particular narrative that the entertainment industry wanted to promote about him. He was the hardworking, reliable guy. He was the guy who showed up and did his job. He was the guy who went home to his quiet life with his wife. The narrative was late-night television host. If Jay Leno had been completely open about his engineering obsession, the narrative might have shifted. He might have been seen as distracted by his cars, more focused on his garage than on his show. Networks might have questioned his commitment. Career opportunities might have been affected. The carefully constructed image that made him so marketable might have been disrupted. Moreover, there's something about this particular obsession that doesn't fit the celebrity mold. We expect celebrities to be obsessed with fame, with other celebrities, with parties, with the social scene. An obsession with mechanical engineering and automotive restoration? That's unusual for someone in the entertainment industry. It's not glamorous in the way the industry understands glamour. It's not social in the expected way. Jay Leno understood this. He understood that to maintain his position at the top of his field, he needed to present a certain image. The double life allowed him to have both worlds, his career success and his true passion, without either one undermining the other. There's also something deeply personal about the engineering side of his life. Hobbies and passions that are truly meaningful to people often become sacred in a way. Jay Leno clearly felt that his automotive work was sacred to him. Exposing it fully to public scrutiny, to the machinery of celebrity gossip and analysis, might have cheapened it somehow. Keeping it secret, keeping it compartmentalized, allowed him to protect what was most important to him. Living a double life for 30 years undoubtedly took a toll on Jay Leno, even if it might not always be visible on the surface. The human mind and body aren't designed to operate at such extremes. The constant compartmentalization, the switching between two different personas, the demand on his time and energy, these things add up. Friends and colleagues have noted that by the end of his reign as host of The Tonight Show, Jay Leno seemed tired in ways that went beyond just the normal exhaustion of doing a nightly broadcast. It was a different kind of tiredness, the exhaustion of someone living at maximum capacity, dividing himself between two demanding worlds. His health incidents in recent years have prompted some people to speculate about whether the stress of maintaining his double life contributed to these situations. While we can't know for certain, it's worth considering. Living with such a high level of internal compartmentalization, always having to watch what you say, always having to remember which world you're in, always having to manage the boundaries, that kind of psychological tension isn't without cost. Yet, paradoxically, the double life also probably kept him sane. If Jay Leno had been forced to live only in the world of television without access to his true passion, it's possible he would have been deeply unhappy or even psychological unwell. The engineering work, the automotive restoration, the mechanical problem-solving, these things likely kept him grounded and sane in a way that only doing late-night television never could have. The double life also affected his relationships. Maintaining such strict compartmentalization means you can't fully let people into your world. Even those closest to him had to accept that there were parts of him they wouldn't fully understand or have access to. That creates a certain distance, a certain loneliness, even in the midst of success and companionship. His decision to eventually step back from the nightly Tonight Show hosting duties, before later returning in different capacities, was likely partly driven by this toll. As he aged, maintaining the double life became more exhausting. The compartmentalization that had served him so well for 30 years became harder to maintain. Now that the truth about Jay Leno's double life has begun to emerge, it forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about him. It's not that any of the basic facts about his career were false. He really was the host of The Tonight Show. He really did perform nightly for decades. He really is a significant figure in entertainment history. But the picture is much more complete now. Jay Leno wasn't just the late-night host. He was also a serious engineer, a man deeply passionate about mechanical systems, someone who found more fulfillment in his garage than he ever found in some of his television work. The revelation of his double life also raises interesting questions about celebrity, about public personas, and about the compartmentalization that's required to maintain a position in the public eye. How much of every famous person's public image is incomplete in similar ways? How many other celebrities are living hidden lives, pursuing secret passions, maintaining elaborate personas that are true but not whole? Jay Leno's story suggests that there can be a cost to this kind of success. You achieve fame and fortune, but to maintain it, you have to hide the parts of yourself that don't fit the narrative. You have to compartmentalize. You have to live at the boundary between two worlds. And while it allowed him to have both things, career success and passionate purpose, it also meant he couldn't fully be himself in either world. His story is a cautionary tale for anyone seeking fame or prominence. The price of success in the public eye often involves a kind of fracturing of the self. You become who people expect you to be, and the other parts of you, the real parts, the deep parts, the passionate parts, go underground.